Hello, I'm Yasmin Alibhai-Brown, and for the next hour I'll be telling you about how a group of male actors with the same Muslim surname of Khan came to dominate Bollywood.
So we're on the 17th floor, that's where my office is, and what we're looking out is this huge concrete jungle called Andheri West in Mumbai, which is also in a certain way where Bollywood is now centered, right? Most of the studios are here, most of the people working in the industry are over here. And if you can make out from the sounds of drills and machines whirring about, there's a lot of construction happening. Almost every second day there's some plot where you see a new building coming up. As you can hear, there's this like what I call the Symphony of Allah, where that happens there are about 5 mosques. We're on the 17th floor. And we have these sounds floating up, 5 times a day. It has a very nice, appealing quality to it. When we get about 5 of them together, it's not like, you can make out now, there's one just ended, one has started. There's a large Muslim population of Bombay, which are all in a certain way around this place.
Kabir Khan describing the stunning panorama from his office building in Mumbai, in the heart of Bollywood. He is a metaphor for the film industry in which the surname Khan seems to be a talisman, a passport to becoming part of an elite brand for men of Muslim heritage. Female Muslim actors and directors are also popular and successful, but they don't have the prominence or the power of their male counterparts. Filmmakers like Kabir Khan, actors like Irfan Khan, Saif Ali Khan, Sohail Khan, most of all, Amir, Salman and Shah Rukh Khan run the show. I went to Mumbai to find out more about these remarkable leading men, Aamir, Salman and Shah Rukh Khan, the kings of Bollywood. I wanted to find out who they are, how they came to be, and why the 3 top stars of Muslim heritage have become more cautious and more elusive the more famous they've become. All 3 have turned 50 this year, and all 3 have managed to stay at the top of their game for 25 years. India changes, the world changes, but these stars shine on, worshipped by millions of fans from east to west, south to north. Anupama Chopra is a critic, founder of the Film Companion website, and director of the Mumbai Film Festival. She explains just how powerful these 3 are.
When you talk about the Khans, you have to understand that these men are essentially one-man studios. So when they say they want to do a film, the film happens. There is no studio above and beyond and bigger than them that can stand in the way and say no. I mean, for example, when Brad Pitt was making a film called Moneyball with Sony Pictures, but a few weeks or even days before that film was going to start, the plug was pulled because the script wasn't convincing enough or interesting enough. That's impossible in India. There's nobody who has the authority or the clout or anything to pull the plug on a Khan film. So when they say we're going to do this, it will happen.
Shah Rukh Khan alone has made more than 80 films in over 20 years and has been known to earn more than the likes of Johnny Depp or Tom Cruise in some years. He's been dubbed India's George Clooney. Amir Khan makes romantic, comedic, as well as deeply serious films and is also a committed social reformer. Salman Khan, the adored bad boy of Bollywood, is at the height of his prolific career. I asked Anupama Chopra what lies behind the rise and rise of these Khans.
I don't think you can say that, there's a certain sort of reason for 3 Khans to be such enduring superstars. Honestly, it is coincidental that they all happen to come up at the same time and they happen to all be Khans. But, each one, I think, offers something very specific and has offered it consistently for more than 25 years. So they all even turned 50 in the same year. And I did an article for the Times of India called, I think it was 50 Shades of Khan, in which I talked about a sort of entire generation being defined by these 3 men. And as a film critic, I've often railed against their film choices. But can I imagine my cinema without them? Absolutely not.
I'm in the car, having just left the hotel in Juhu where I'm staying, in the most dreadful traffic, noisy and busy traffic. There's the cars and the trucks and the ambulances and the rickshaws and the bicycles and the people all weaving in and out, and you always think something terrible is going to happen. It is absolutely the spirit of Mumbai. So there's a great deal of energy around us, and I'm not romanticizing the poverty. There's a great deal of poverty. You have to be a survivor in Mumbai. We're now passing a mosque, all lit up in green with minarets, and really quite a large mosque. ये mosque का नाम क्या है? Masjid का नाम?
Masjid Ansar.
Masjid Ansar, acha. As we drive in, these massive, massive billboards, which of course used to be hand-painted once upon a time, but now they're of course mass-produced, with the many faces of the Khans in their various films looking at you. A Khan film is announcing itself, and they seem to be both guarding the city and calling on the people to worship them, which they do.
I'm on my way to the press launch of a new feel-good film called Badrinath Ki Dulhaniya by Karan Johar, the multi-award-winning director, producer and screenwriter. The young stars are here, Varun Dhawan and Alia Bhatt, looking cool and gorgeous. And so are the paparazzi. The foyer is buzzing with young fans, critics, journalists and wannabe actors. Bollywood is their lifeblood.
The Khans of Bollywood. Who's your favourite?
That's a tricky one. Aamir. No, for me it's purely about his work because he's quite versatile, I feel, compared to the other Khans. That's my opinion. I think he experiments quite a bit with his looks and his acting, and that really works well for me. I really like his performance.
I think it's unfair to compare any of these actors with other actors because all of them have a charisma and charm of their own. I think they are the last superstars that Bollywood will ever have. I don't think anyone can reach the stardom that those three have reached amongst the younger lot of actors that we have. Kind of stardom that we have seen that, actors like Dilip Kumar, Amitabh Bachchan, Rajesh Khanna have enjoyed. The Khans came quite close to them, but I don't think the younger generation is still privileged enough to have that kind of stardom yet.
When it comes to the acting part, it's Amir Khan who's number one. But when it comes to entertainment value, it's Salman Khan.
This is Sonil Dedia, entertainment reporter on the Mumbai-based newspaper Midday. Like so many of the young people here, he knows all about the workings of this industry, about the peerless Khans and their emotional impact on the cinema-going public.
Personally, I'm a Salman fan. Salman is someone who's a complete entertainment package. Whatever he does, even if he just removes his shirt on the screen, people will whistle, clap and do anything for him.
हमारे पास पासपोर्ट नहीं है, ना वीजा, लेकिन वादा करते हैं कि अब तो हम मुन्नी को खुद उसके घर छोड़कर ही आएंगे.
So this kind of stardom that they have achieved over the years, be it the hits or the flops that they've given together, they are completely out of reach. It's very difficult for the newer generation. They will have to, slog a lot to reach the stardom that these three Khans have achieved.
The Khans are phenomena in each in his own way.
Bachchi Kakaria is a journalist and columnist for the Times of India.
They tend to be bracketed together, but they are really so individualistic, even in the adulation that they command as actors. Salman, I think, is Salman, whatever role he does. Shah Rukh is, I think, caught up so much in the glamour circuit, so very, he's just very much the glamour boy. He's still prancing around with 20-year-old. Aamer is somebody who is, as an actor and from his films and from his position, I think he is today the number one Khan. though that may not be the idea in public perception. But any discerning person will say that in the terms of the films he's made, in terms of the reinvention with every film, he creates a new image of himself and then he goes hell for leather to create that. I mean, his latest film, Dangal, where he's playing this completely de-glamorized hero, fat, dirty. He's got a 20-year-old, but she's not his star, his romantic lead, she's his daughter. And it's like outgrossed every other film. And so people are accepting Amir Khan in the kind of roles that he's doing. Whereas I don't think they would accept a Salman or a Shah Rukh in that kind of role, which says a great deal for Aamir and his position in the industry. I don't think today we have anyone quite like Amir Khan.
So who are these Khans? What are their distinguishing features? Anupama Chopra knows them well and has studied them long and hard.
Each one gives this specific, unique kind of joy and satisfaction to the audience. You know, my thesis is Shah Rukh was sort of the face that represented a post-liberalized India. The movies that he did, which sort of said that, yes, you can be this amazingly cool London-born and bred person who wears polo t-shirts, but your values are still Indian, was such a palatable sort of thing and such an attractive thing to offer everybody, you know, including the non-resident Indians and the Indians locally. And I think that persona of him was just so perfect for that time when the country was really grappling with, you know, an open economy, with an open television. I mean, I grew up watching black and white programming on Doordarshan. That's the only choice I had. And suddenly in the 90s, kids were growing up with like 50 channels and watching Bold and Beautiful in their homes. And oh my God, sex came out of the closet. You know, we've spent 60 years with flowers brushing against each other and suddenly people are kissing. So in terms of a cultural churning, at least for urban India, was immense. And I think Shah Rukh just provided a really wonderful answer that you don't have to choose. You can be Western and you can be Indian and you lose nothing. Your values are still intact. So that, I think, was his sort of USP. I think Salman is sort of the last rock star. You know, he's that piece of us, that wild child sort of persona. He's just a man living life large, and he doesn't look like somebody who's ever felt sort of regret or apology or any sort of self-doubt. You know, he's all there, and when the world is going to hell, Salman comes to the rescue. That's just brilliant. Like, who doesn't need that, right? So he's Superman without the cape. And then there's Aamir, who is your sort of moral barometer. He's what we measure ourselves against. That can we be as smart as him? Can we be as good as him? Can we be as upright as him? So I think all three of them just gave us these versions of screen gods that we just absorbed and loved.
Indian films are never just entertainment. They embody the aspirations and values of the nation. They glue people together and foster ideals. And they show up fissures and faults. They define what it means to be Indian more eloquently than any politician or writer can. 3 Muslim screen gods in majority Hindu India. They symbolize an openness and continue a long cinematic tradition. These celeb Khans are not unique nor exceptions. When films took off in the early 40s, talented Indian Muslims were in there right from the start, during the Raj, independence struggles, the horrors of partition and communalism, the years when the post-colonial nation reimagined itself. They were then and are now the bedrock of Bollywood. Anjum Rajabali, himself of Muslim heritage, is a screenwriter of 25 years standing and a leading member of the Screenwriters Guild.
Muslims have contributed enormously into building this edifice and into giving film industry the kind of status that it occupies. The quality of culture to the quality of the kind of poetry, creativity which the film industry is so proud of has come from, poets, writers, directors, actors, even cinematographers, technicians, dancers, choreographers, Oh, and if you really look at the percentages, then the percentage of employment of Muslims in the film industry on those days is much higher than actually the sort of proportion of Muslims as part of the population, in fact. And Urdu was the language of the film industry. The top 5 in any department, would include at least 2 or 3 Muslims. And there was absolutely no problem.
But did this big presence of Muslims at every level influence portrayal? How were Muslims depicted? Producer Rajan Kapoor.
There used to be a time where they used to make what was called Muslim socials. The entire film would be about Muslims, the protagonist, the love interest, the families. Everybody was a Muslim there. So there was no, it was not about, having a conflict. It was just, they were all Muslims. In the early part, they were mostly the rich Muslims, Nawabs. So people would probably get sort of, seduced into the culture and how they speak, and there is this beautiful language, and, it would be generally accompanied by great songs, and people would break into poetry, and that would go on for years. So that sort of probably seduced people. And then there was the second wave. They were more about the middle class, ghettoization. Salim Langde Pe Matro is a great example of that kind of film. Then they were more about today. They were like families affected by riots. They were families coming to terms with their economic situation, the lack of opportunity, things like that. But that's kind of died out. It's back into La La Land. People don't write Muslims heroes into a story. It's always with a context, with a clear aim. Why am I writing him? So Muslim, if he is there and he's a good Muslim, he'll probably be even more patriotic than our next Hindu character. And if he's not, he'll probably not have a moustache, he'll have a long beard, and he would be chomping mutton and plotting against India and stuff like that. I don't think they've gotten over looking beyond identity.
I'm Shamir Tandon, music director and music consultant. An artist ever feels that he is Hindu or he's Muslim. One of the most spectacular bhajans in the Hindi film industry, in one of the most reverential films called Baiju Bawra, there was a bhajan. Bhajan is a Hindu devotional song, Man Tarpat Hari Darshan Ko Aaj, penned by Shakil Badayuni, a Muslim, composed by Naushad Sahab and sung by Muhammad Rafi. So with such legendary all Muslims creating one of the most respected and reverential bhajans that we ever had in the last 100 years.
What are your favourite songs? What are your favourite songs, past or present, that you think are exquisite?
The first song that comes to my mind poetically is again written by a Muslim. And now that you compel me to think, I'm thinking that yes, it's written by a Muslim or a Hindu, but eventually it's written by an artist. The song that Sahir Ludhianvi, one of the most amazing writers this country has ever seen, Chalo Ek Baar Phir Se Ajnabi Ban Jaye Hum Dono, written by Sahir Ludhianvi, is one of my most favorite songs because I think it has in-depth understanding of love and romance and is one of the most beautifully penned Hindi lyric songs.
Can you sing me a little bit of it?
चलो एक बार फिर से अजनबी बन जाए हम दोनों चलो एक बार फिर से अजनबी बन जाए हम दोनों चलो एक बार. So the poet here is saying, let's revive the same chemistry, the same kind of bond and the feeling that was when we first met, when we were strangers.
The partition of India and the formation of the new state of Pakistan in the wake of independence from British rule in August 1947 had a huge impact on the entire subcontinent. Close to 15 million people were displaced and 1 million lost their lives in ethnic cleansing on both sides of the border. Conflict between the two nations has continued ever since. Artists in both countries do try to bridge the divide. In India, the film industry prides itself on being faith blind, Nonetheless, pressures and unspoken fears are felt by religious minorities, particularly during politically turbulent times. One of the first Muslim actors to make it big in Bollywood was also a Khan, one Yusuf Khan, but he and many others had to change their public identities on the way to the top. Yusuf Khan adopted a popular Hindu name, Dilip Kumar. He went on to become one of the greatest film stars, the Laurence Olivier of Bollywood. And he was not alone. Actresses did the same. Madhubala, who was born Mumtaz Jehan Delhalvi, and Meena Kumari, born Mahjabeen Banu, all changed their names to hide their Muslimness. But according to the veteran actor Kabir Bedi, things have moved on a long way since then.
Among the actors, of course, Dilip Kumar was the great symbol of the 50s and 60s. And then we've had the reign of the Khans and many Muslim actors. And this is something that doesn't surprise anybody in India. It's just part of the atmosphere.
But in their time, maybe because of partition and so on, Dilip Kumar and Meena Kumari felt they had to change their names, didn't they?
Yes, well, Dilip Kumar, Meena Kumari, all these people changed their names because the producers felt that a Hindu name would be more attractive. Today, that doesn't exist anymore. A lot of the sort of prohibitions of that era have passed. Today, the people are not ashamed of having their Muslim names. In fact, it's a badge of honor as far as they're concerned.
And the problem of being Muslim in India became even more acute after the 9/11 attacks in New York. Since then, there have been a number of attacks in India by Islamicist terrorists, some of them from Pakistan. Join me in a couple of minutes for part 2 of the Khan Mutiny, when we hear how being a film demigod offers no protection against nationalism. Hello, I'm Yasmin Alibhai-Brown, and welcome back to the Khan Mutiny. Ordinary Muslims in India felt vulnerable, and some changed their names for fear of reprisals. But not these Khans. They do not hide who they are. They claim their names and their Muslim heritage. And yet they're not confined by that heritage. Aamir and Shah Rukh married non-Muslim women. Salman's mother is a Hindu.
I have never felt that I have been discriminated because of my name.
Salim Khan, veteran Indian actor and screenwriter, best known as one half of the prolific screenwriting duo Salim Javed with Javed Akhtar.
In film industry, one thing is there is no communal feeling at all, or there is no prejudice against anybody. Nobody is given any favor because of his community, caste or religion. And here the religion is talent, talent, talent. If you have talent, nobody can stop you. Survival of the fittest.
And he should know. He's acted in, written or produced more than 40 films, including such classics as Sholay, Andar, Sita Gita, Hathi Mera Sathi, Dostana and Shakt. He's also the head of one of the most powerful family dynasties, the father of Salman Khan, as well as Sohail and Arbaz, who not only act but produce and direct as well. I went to meet him at the luxury Juhu Beach apartment he shares with several members of his extended family, many of whom are married to Hindus. He himself has 2 wives, Sushila, Salman Khan's mother, who's Hindu, and the renowned Bollywood actress Helen, who's part Burmese, part Anglo-Indian. You must be very proud. Not only you did very well, but look at your boys.
I never planned anything like that. I just wanted to give them a decent education. But they wanted to come in films and they had made the choice. And of course, they are successful. I'm there to keep them on the ground.
Do they listen to your advice?
I have never claimed that I'm more intelligent than them. I have never claimed that I know better. Now the business has also changed. So as far as business is concerned, they know better. But I had seen that life. When it comes to in the area of wisdom, experience, I mean, they have no choice but to come to me. I have spent almost 58 years here. So I have got experience.
Salim Khan and his peers lived through many upheavals, from partition and independence to the Indochina War and the continuing troubles in Kashmir. But today's Khans are under different pressures, national and global, and under constant scrutiny. All three have been subjected to loyalty tests. Are you Indian or are you Muslim? Islamicist radicalization and Hindu nationalism have made their presence felt across India and inevitably in Bollywood. Art and life merge confusingly and at times precariously. According to Anjum Rajabali, that's the new reality.
It's true that the Indian film industry has by and large been an inclusive place, and I would say it continues to be, mostly. That's the character. And yet, the Indian film industry is peopled by members who continue to be part of Indian society. So it isn't that they are not influenced by the dominant ideologies which come as waves.
It's already kind of entering the discourse. So instead of seeing the character as a character, that religious identification is now coming through.
It has entered very deeply into the discourse and into the psyche. So in the way in which people now react to Shah Rukh, not his persona within the film, okay, that is still contained, but his sort of profile or his identity as a Muslim is very prominent. I mean, so a lot of people, when they see him as a public figure, their reaction is that this is a Muslim that we are reacting to.
Sometimes I just want to tell people, you don't know me, you don't live the life I have, you're never going to have the life that I do, even if you become 10 times the star that I am, inshallah.
Shah Rukh Khan talking on an Arab television channel about the price of fame.
Do not analyze an issue of mine which you see on public display, whether it's an interview, whether it's a movie, whether it's an incident on the field, whether it's just cycling with my little daughter. Do not analyze it by giving characteristic out of my personal personality. You know, you don't even know me, I don't know me.
There is a certain kind of contradiction that they have to deal with, and likewise there's a contradiction that their fans have to deal with. The contradiction that they deal with is that they know that they command an enormous amount of power. In fact, I would say a disproportionate amount of power within the film industry rests in their hands, because you have the adulation of millions of people. You open big, and so you are a very, very precious entity here, highly sought after, and that gives you that kind of leverage and power to choose, okay, what you want to do and what you don't. But on the other hand, they also know that because of their religious identity, their communal identity, that they do become the target very easily of political forces, extra-constitutional forces, non-governmental forces which are around, mob forces, etc. And they also know that the people who rush to see their movies, they themselves would have a problem with their religious identity of those Khans, but they love their persona on the screen. So that's the dichotomy that both sides seem to be dealing with.
Actor Aamir Khan has joined the ranks of those protesting against growing intolerance in India, saying he's been alarmed by the number of incidences that have taken place recently, and the fact that his wife Kiran Rao even suggested they should probably leave the country.
इसी मुद्दे से जुड़ी बड़ी खबर आ रही है। संजय लीला भंसाली ने फिल्म पद्मावती की शूटिंग रोक दी है। जयपुर में सेट पर हंगामा हुआ था कल, आपको बता दें। इसके बाद भंसाली मुंबई लौट गए हैं।
Filmmaker Sanjay Leela Bhansali was slapped and his hair was pulled on the sets of the film Padmavati in Jaipur by protesters who alleged the film shows a much celebrated Rajput queen in poor light.
I think in the last maybe 6 months, 8 months, there has been a growing sense of despondency, I would say. I mean, when I sit at home and talk to Kiran, you know, Kiran and I have lived all our lives in India. For the first time, Kiran says, should we move out of India? Now, that's a disastrous and very big statement for Kiran to make to me.
Amir Khan, reflecting on his wife's concerns about living in India in the aftermath of a series of incidents triggered by the ongoing tensions between India and Pakistan. That interview sparked off a huge furore in India. Shah Rukh Khan had a similar experience in 2013 and more recently in 2017 when his new film Rais was released. In it he plays a tough character, allegedly based on the Muslim gangster Abdul Latif from the Indian state of Gujarat, who ran a business smuggling illicit alcohol. The film raised fury among Muslims who felt it insulted their faith, as well as hardline Hindus who felt Shah Rukh Khan was glorifying a criminal and playing too many Muslim roles. Extremists are looking for enemies everywhere, including in Bollywood. Filmmakers have been assaulted. Openings of films have been disrupted. Karan Johar, for example, was targeted for using a Pakistani star, Fawad Khan, as was Shah Rukh Khan for having a Pakistani co-star, Mahira Khan, in Rais.
My basic issue is, why do we need Pakistani artists in India? We have a superb talent in India. We have super artists. We have super music singers, we have super music directors, we have good-looking girls, we have good-looking boys.
This is Aamer Khopkar, leader of the MNS, the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena, a regional party based in the western state of Maharashtra, the home of Bollywood. His party has physically threatened any Indian filmmakers who employ Pakistani actors like Fawad Khan and Mahira Khan. He sees himself and others like him as cultural warriors fighting for their nation, prepared to sacrifice everything.
I really understand that art and culture and nation, politics, these are different things, but the art which is behaving, which is acting, which is reacting against my nation, I will not support this kind of act. We don't want this kind of act. For me, my nation is first, my soldiers are first. A citizen of Indian is first.
So what action do you take when say you have a film which you don't approve of because it's got a Pakistani actor? What do you do next?
I think it may not sound good on this interview if I say what I do, but I would not like to lie. We request them first. If they don't understand the language of request, we bash them. You beat them. Yeah, I'm serious. I will not tolerate any nonsense against my country, against my culture, against Maharashtra, against Mumbai. There are 20 police cases against me, but I really don't care because I am doing nothing against my nation. I agree that I have done something against law. That was for my nation, for my people. I like to explain the people the language they understand.
Shah Rukh Khan may make more money than Tom Cruise and may be one of the most powerful men in India, but not even he has the power to ignore their demands. Is this sustainable, the tightrope they walk? Can they maintain their artistic integrity and keep on the right side of politics? Kabir Bedi.
Whenever a right-wing Hindu nationalist government comes to power, all kinds of fringe groups that also lurk on the far edges of every movement feel that they have a right to speak up and make life hell for everybody. So there were a number of instances where intolerance was shown. However, I would personally like to step back a bit and look at the picture from a larger point of view, which is that this is a country of 1 billion people. It's got 26 states, it's got 26 languages, it's got 8 different scripts in which they're written. It's a vast continent. And every instance of intolerance of any kind, from wherever it came, became a red flag. Because everyone was watching out to see, is there going to be a complete, takeover of intolerance of any other form of thought, etc. I don't think that's happened.
Aamir can go out and make as many statements as he wants about questioning the country, political sort of criticism, and in the most provocative way. But when his film is released, take my word for it, it'll go through the roof. I mean, Aamir this is not the first time that he's been targeted. This is, I think, the second prominent time that he has been targeted. And there was a massive boycott call, then he was taken off the brand ambassador of, Incredible India, as the tourist thing. A campaign was started against him where there were a lot of trolls, etc., etc. Nothing. Out comes Dangal, and it becomes the biggest hit that this country has ever seen. And this causes enormous frustration to all those people who actually try to undermine that. So the film industry, I'm afraid, the power and the charisma of the film industry is unparalleled. This is a nation which worships its stars no matter what they are. So as far as the film is concerned, outside the film they might curse Amir Khan and say, no, Amir Khan should not say this and should not say that. But when it comes to the film, man, he reigns. And so does Shah Rukh. Shah Rukh plays Abdul Latif, which he may not sort of admit it, but by and large it seems to be inspired by that. And Abdul Latif was a Muslim mafiosi who was much hated in Gujarat because he's the one who boosted the liquor, the illicit, whatever, illegal trade, etc. And and he's a Muslim, and he's very openly a Muslim there. And his film is a hit. So people are flocking. This is Rais, the most recent film, which was just released 5 days ago. And it's already doing pretty well. Nothing about Shah Rukh's identity as a Muslim or the character of the Muslim there and the criminal who actually worked against the state, and his opponents are Hindus in the film. It doesn't matter. This is the magic which nobody has been able to fully explain and nor really be able to sort of combat.
The film industry truly was a far more secular space. And I've been working here for more than 20 years now. And until very recently, I don't remember ever hearing conversations about who's Hindu and who's Muslim. It didn't matter. It really didn't matter. Everybody works together. Maybe driven by the box office, so it's not noble aspirations or ambitions. It is about creating success, it's about creating money, it's about creating fame, which is fine. But I think in the last few years, also because social media is so important and so polarizing, you've started to hear things that maybe you didn't before. But I really think the fact that your three biggest stars are Muslim says so much about this country. Nobody has questioned them. There was such an uproar when Aamer said something 2 years ago about how Kiran, his wife, was worried about the state of affairs. And the sort of right-wing Hindu organizations and they really went after him. But look at the fact that the most successful Indian film of all time is Dangal. Okay, so clearly the regular people are not sitting in their homes and saying, oh my God, Amir Khan's a Muslim, he's a Muslim who said he wants to leave the country, and therefore nothing. They see him for who he is. He's a great artist, he's an intelligent man, and he spoke something that was in his heart.
The strange thing, Yasmin, is that all these three Khans have very great Hindu connections. Salman's mother is Hindu, and he has actually converted to Islam later. Shah Rukh's wife is very Gauri, is very, very Hindu. Both of Aamir's wives have been Hindu. But I think by and large, the kind of adoration that Bollywood commands, it I think overrides everything. So, it would be quite terrible to say or to think that Bollywood was going to be our weapon against fundamentalism. But let's hang on to every weapon we can.
These are genuinely very secular-minded people, genuinely so. And their Indianness, if at all that has to be actually emphasized, is deeply and very naturally a part of their psyche and the way they see themselves. Hence, they cause a lot of discomfiture on both sides. Okay. When debating with Muslims, they will emphasize, in fact, naturally so, the Indianness and the fact that, okay, yes, they're absolutely very comfortable as secular people with every single religion. And on the other hand, when they are having a debate with the Hindu, supposing there was a Hindu fundamentalist sort of provocation or question thrown at them, they don't shy away from the fact of their Muslim identity. Yes, I am a Muslim and I am an Indian, and there you go. I don't see a contradiction in that. You're trying to equate India with Hindus. I am not. For me, Muslim and Islam is as much sort of a religion of India as, is any other. So in that sense, it becomes, they do get targeted from both sides. Each side would like to actually co-opt them and hijack them, provided the other aspect is rejected. But they refuse to do that. And this, I must say, kudos to them. I mean, I feel very, very affectionate and very sort of, admiring of their natural courage.
You say one thing that offends somebody and 4 guys will be at your door. The press will be covering it. It's an impossible situation to be in. And therefore, each one of them, and Shah Rukh has told me this, is measuring what comes out of their mouth now. So you can't take stands because finally, who's going to protect you? I mean, look at what happened to Sanjay Leela Bhansali in Rajasthan. When you slap a filmmaker on the set of a movie, it's so traumatizing that I can't even go there. What freedom does an artist have then? And what are you giving permission to? Who spoke up against it apart from people in the film industry? Everybody closed ranks and said, this is appalling. The problem is that it's a very vulnerable industry and it's an extremely high-profile industry. It's very, very hard to make movies. You're putting in... I'm married to a filmmaker. I know what it takes. When it's 3 years of your life gone down the drain because you said one thing, it's very hard to take stands.
This would be a travesty not only of what the industry has been, but its purpose. It always had purpose. I remember growing up and they were fighting the British through their films.
Yeah.
Hindu-Muslim unity,
yeah.
caste questions, they tackled those issues.
Yeah.
And that was the great moral strength of these films, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
The radical voice is always very loud. They're always out on the streets screaming and shouting. Unfortunately, the liberal voice is meek all over the world. And I wish we were as loud, and we need to scream louder than them. These guys try and bully you and say, oh, you made this statement, wait till your next film comes. I like to see their faces now. I like to come. Where are those guys who had made all those comments on social media, on national television, that wait till Aamer's film comes and we'll show him. Please show me now what you did. It's the highest grossing film of all time. And that's a big slap on their face. So they should shut up and realize that they're not as relevant as they'd like to think they are.
Kabir Khan has also had experience of this strange Khan conundrum. He's made many films with Salman Khan, including the 2015 hit Bajrangi Bhaijaan, in which Salman Khan plays Bajrangi, a devout Hindu who decides to take a mute 6-year-old girl lost in India back to her hometown in Pakistan. For the director, the ongoing friction between India and Pakistan is at the heart of the problem.
We have a schizophrenic relationship with Pakistan, and we need to recognize that, because if we don't recognize that, then we will never be able to understand what makes us tick. The way our media would like to believe that if something happens in Pakistan or if Pakistan does something to us, then every single individual in Pakistan is responsible for what happened. And similarly, it's the same narrative there, right? Something happens which, they say Raw did it, or, the Indian army did it. Every single Indian is responsible for it. That's not the case. There are governments which will always be at war. Unfortunately, at least in my lifetime, I don't see the two governments sitting down and, being able to make sense of each other. But that does not mean that the people don't connect with each other. For me, that's what Bajrangi was, right? Yes, there's great hostility between India and Pakistan, but when a Bajrangi from the streets of Chandni Chowk meets a Chand Nawab in Pakistan, they are going to be like brothers. They are going to understand each other. They do not have to follow the narrative that's been put down by the armies and the governments. And that, I think, is very important to understand.
But do you ever feel genuinely that sometimes, even being who you are, this very creative Indian director, that your patriotism is questioned these days?
Yeah, selectively. It's such a cliche sometimes now on the social. If I show you my Twitter timeline, it's a joke. So, the first thing they say is, oh, you don't like this? Go to Pakistan. I just don't understand why they want to send me to Pakistan, right? It's a joke.
The controversies swill around and sometimes do get to the three Khans. The megastars are mostly judged on the quality of their work. Their power and resilience knows no bounds, shows no sign of diminishing or abating any time soon. Shah Rukh Khan even made a film called My Name is Khan in 2010 about a Pakistani man with Asperger's who was living in New York in the wake of 9/11. And the film did not go unnoticed by the Shiv Sena party, one of the most extreme faces of Hindu nationalism, as Kabir Bedi explains.
When My Name is Khan was coming out, the Shiv Sena opposed it, and it became a prestige issue whether they would allow the release of the film. And normally these are people that could bring the city to a halt. However, the government decided they will stand by the film. When you're making a film of any historical dimension or anything that tries to make a statement, there will always be some fringe group that jumps up and opposes it. And because they make the noise, they get the attention. It's the squeaky hinge that gets the oil. And that's what these people are, squeaky hinges. But they don't reflect the larger reality of India. The larger reality that says we are one country, proud to be it, and we are multicultural, multi-ethnic, and have many religions within us, all which are Indian.
Cinema in India is not just cinema. It's a religion. Okay, it's a religion. I mean, so unlike the West, where you see a movie and you consume a movie and you might love a star, or you might really love a particular director, but here temples are built to these people. Our responses to cinema are far more passionate and reverential than any other culture on the planet. So what I hope that the film industry does, and they need to do this, is to really unite and come together like a force that they are. They need to have spokespeople who represent the film industry. They need to have a body that is active and united and strong. Because it's not enough in this climate to protest on Twitter. It means nothing and will do nothing. You can't be in a situation where you cast a Pakistani actor and therefore your film will not release. I mean, at this point, we are in that very, very sad state. So I think the film industry really needs to organize, and that hopefully will put it in a place where you're not vulnerable.
Kabir Bedi and Anupama Chopra's optimism is shared by most of the Bollywood insiders I met in Mumbai. They may be anxious about the emerging oppressive forces, but they are fiercely optimistic that their stars, films and industry will remain creative, inclusive and bold. The great English novelist E.M. Forster wrote, "Nothing is identifiable in India. The mere asking of a question causes it to disappear or merge into something else." Wise words. We cannot place the Khans of Bollywood or India into easily identifiable categories. They merge into something else. Like Hollywood, Bollywood is a business, a dream factory. It provides light, magic, escape, meaning, joy and entertainment to billions. But unlike Hollywood, it's also a religion. The three men called Khan are worshipped like gods. Kabir Khan.
Ultimately, I think the heart is in the right place when it comes to the people of India. And that is the reason why Dangal did well. That is the reason why, in the current scenario that we're living in, a film like Bajrangi does well. In a country that's getting polarized, what are you talking about? You're talking about taking the little girl from Pakistan and risking your life to take her back to Pakistan. Okay? If you see our channels, if you see our headlines, you'll feel that this story doesn't stand a chance. But this film gets so supported so strongly by the audience. It just goes to show that when it comes to the common man in India, I think the heart is in the right place.
You've been listening to the Khan Mutiny with me, Yasmin Alibhai-Brown. The programme was produced by Mohini Patel.
There are dozens of different podcasts now available from the BBC, including news, documentaries, science, business, arts and sport. For details of them all, go to bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.